28th of November today. It's been a little while since I have been up the allotment because I've just been working so much. Or if I have had a day off, the weather hasn't been brilliant. So, but it's been fairly quiet up on the allotment anyway. Most of the stuff has come up. I've got a few bits and pieces, but it's not like it's busy time. But I've come up today because I'm not working, the sun is shining, and yes, it is a little bit on the chilly side, but I have come up here firstly to dig up my Salsify. Now this is the second year I've grown Salsify. The first year they did okay, they were all right, but they weren't as big as I would have hoped. So I left them for a few years and then I sowed some more. This year I think I sowed them in about April time. You need to space them quite a distance away from each other. They're a good sort of 3 inches or so. There weren't many in the pack, but they managed to, I sort of spread them out enough. Now not all of them germinated, but I suppose about half of them did. The leaves on the tops have grown really well, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they would have grown beautiful inside. They should be fairly long. They shouldn't be fat like parsnips, but they should be about the size of a carrot thickness. So hopefully, if I'm lucky, about 1 inch across, but hopefully about sort of 9-10 inches long. But only time will tell when we dig them up. They've been sitting in the ground. You can start harvesting them from about October onwards, but they can stay in the ground until you need them. Just make sure that you have them up before, say, like January, February the following year. So let's dig up the first Salsify and see what we've got. So this is the Salsify here, and if you follow the line up you can see that there are quite a few that have grown. So as these, there are actually 2 right down here, so I'm actually going to dig those ones up first. Okay, so first of all let's get the fork in. You will find that usually if you do leave them in over the winter, most of the leaves will die down, but if they stay green, if you have a fairly mild winter, don't worry about that. Okay, so I'll try and get both of these up together, but obviously it depends. So put your fork in a couple of inches away from where all the leaves are coming up, because obviously you don't want to spear it. So you will need a big fork, so push it down as far as it will go, then pull it back, and hopefully they will start to come up. They are coming up. Let's remove the fork and then we'll grab hold of the leaves and just give them a shake and hope that they come up. Ooh. Let's remove as much of the soil as we can. Yes, it's got lots of legs on it, but then I've grown it, so of course it's got lots of legs on it. So that's one, and if you can see that, there we go. If you take off all the extra legs there, and then you can see that it is about 1 inch across and about the length of a carrot. So that's one. Let's take this one up and see what this one's like. The soil, even though I haven't dug this soil since I put them in, the soil is absolutely beautiful because I've got so much manure in there and loads of worms as well. So we'll put those back in. And there's another good sized one as well. I'm really chuffed with those, I really am. So these are the best ones I've ever grown. So I'll carry on digging up the rest, and then when I've dug them all up, then I'll show you. Right, well I've dug them up. They all vary in size. Okay, excuse me. I've got one here that seems to be crisscrossing its legs. I've got a lovely little diddly squit one here, which I seem to have lost the end of. When you're digging them up, if you put the fork in, you pull them back, and then you can actually hear the smaller roots breaking inside the soil, a bit like when you sort of harvest your carrots or your parsnips. This is what they're supposed to look like, okay, nice and straight. Okay, but clearly mine haven't, because why would they? They're mine. And then these are lovely sized ones. I'm really pleased with those. Yes, they have got lots of little legs on them, but the main body of the Salsify is really good. And then these are the first two that I pulled up. They look like Groot, don't they? Okay, they most probably start dancing or something, I don't know. Anyway, but there we go. So that's Salsify. I am very pleased with those. The best way to eat those is to just chop off all the spare little bits. And if you're making stock, then the spare little roots you can actually stick in the stock because they'll give it a nice flavour. But the main body of it, if you just give it a good old wash, and then I don't know whether you should peel them or not. I'm going to try peeling some and not peeling others. I think if they're new out, then the skins are nice and soft, and then you don't have to peel the skins off. But if they've been in for a while, you might need to remove the skins because they might be a little bit hard. But I will try that and then I will let you know. And the best thing to do with these is to roast them. They have like a very delicate oysterish flavour. Now I don't like oysters, it's the texture, but these I do like, so they're lovely. So that's those. Now let's go and dig up some Jerusalem artichokes. Right, now here is the bed of Jerusalem artichokes. As you can see, the stems are still there. They have gone completely brown and they do stretch up a long way. Before you start digging your Jerusalem artichokes up, you need to remove all of the stems because therefore it makes it much easier. So let me start clipping those. Now it's very simple when you come to cut the stems off. You just need to get your secateurs and just cut them off as close to the ground as you possibly can. I do remember last year when I was doing this, I had a frog that was making its home in amongst these. So I don't know whether I'll see it again. We'll just have to see. So I'll clear a load of this. Sometimes if they're quite small, you can actually snap them off. But if they're still damp, then you won't be able to. You'll just have to clip them. So I'll clear a load, and then when I've cleared a load, then we'll start digging them up. Right, so you can see I've cleared a patch here. I've still got a lot more to do, but it's best if you sort of clear a small patch and then you can start digging, because it just depends how large your patch is. My patch here for my Jerusalem artichokes is actually quite large. So once you've cleared an area, if you get your big fork, push it down as far as you can and then just pull it back. And underneath the soil, you should have some Jerusalem artichokes growing. There's one. Sometimes they vary in size. Sometimes you get really nice large ones, and other times you get ones that are fairly small. This one down here, as you can see, is really quite tiny, whereas this one is quite large. If you find that they are too small for what you would want, then you just pop them straight back in the soil. Okay, and then you leave them to grow for the following year. So this is also a good time to then sort out the Jerusalem artichoke bed, because I tend to find that it's quite difficult to weed during the season. So now is a good time to give it a good old turn over. So just keep going along, taking out any weeds that you find as well as you go. The Jerusalem artichokes will come in very strange shapes, but don't worry about that. Just make a little pile and then carry on until you've got enough. You can leave these in the soil until you want them. It's entirely up to you. but I'm going to dig a few up today, and then as and when I need them, I will come back and I will dig up some more. So I'll just keep going for a bit, and when I've got enough, then I will show you. Right, well, these are just some from, well, that area that I cleared. About half of it I have dug over. They have done unbelievably well this year. If they were any smaller than sort of what I would class as a mouthful, then I've put them back in the soil. So we've got some ones stretching from that size all the way up to this size here. You can see this is my favourite one, I think. It's actually joined together, and it's like a little U or a C for Claire. So they're doing incredibly well. So I'll just dig these few up today, take these ones home. As I say, any small ones just stick straight back in the soil, put down about 3 inches or so, just make a hole with your finger and just stick them in, and then they'll get even bigger the following year. That's those. When I cook these, I do leave the skins on because I find that they are very awkward, very faffy to peel. So I will just wash them thoroughly. I will then just sort of cut them up into sort of 1-inch chunks, and then I will roast them at about gas mark 5 until they're done, which is usually about an hour. Salt and pepper and a little bit of olive oil. I don't boil them because I find that boiling them takes all the flavour out of them. Roasting them is much better. But when I do that, I will actually do a video to show you how I do them. So that's some of my Jerusalem artichokes. As I say, I've still got a load more to do, but I will do these first. I will eat these first, and then I'll come back another time and I will harvest some more. Right, now here I've got the horseradish. At the end of every season you'll find that the leaves all go brown and they die, and what you need to do is you just need to remove those. They will pull off very easily like this, okay? Just pop these in the compost heap, and then underneath, once you've removed all the leaves, you'll be able to see the horseradish growing. Now, I'm not going to obviously harvest all of this because it's an enormous plant. I started this plant off, I got it from Victoriana in a little 3-inch pot, and I popped it in here about, I don't know, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and it has just blossomed. It's enormous. So just be aware that when you grow your own horseradish, it is incredibly hot. So once you just harvest what you need and leave the rest in the soil, okay? It's always best to give it its own area, because as you can see, it will spread. I've got some growing over here. The majority of it is here. There's some, it's sort of dotted itself about. And there's even some growing here, so it will spread, so make sure you give it a decent amount of space. Now, to harvest this is quite tricky, okay, because you'll find that the roots go down an awful long way, so just harvest as much as you need. And now, and I hope you don't break your fork, I haven't so far, but I'm sure there is a first for everything. I harvested some last year and it was absolutely gorgeous. It was fabulous. I just harvested a small section. So let's try and harvest a little bit more. Right, now this section here, this is the main section where I first sowed it, where I first planted it out, and it's gradually moved out. You can see these are the new shoots for next year. If you do get a hard frost and they die, don't worry about it. New ones will come back the following year. It's a very robust plant. So it needs also an awful lot of feeding. So if you've got manure, once you've harvested what you wanted for this year, then I would suggest putting a nice amount of manure on top, and that will make it very, very happy. So I'm going to try and harvest some. It's always best to start from the outside and gradually work in. So it's trying to figure out which bit would be good. I'm hoping that this section here might be quite well, not easy to dig up, but it's on the outside and I've got a nice amount of roots down there. So get your fork, push it down as far as it'll go, okay, pull it back. Oh, okay, so you can see it's in an awful long way. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to loosen it all the way round. Okay, if you do stick the fork through a part of it, it doesn't matter, don't worry. Okay, oh, you can feel it, I can hear it ripping. There's some. Okay, let's take this little bit up. There, that's what you need. Okay, so what you would do, just take what you need, just when you get home, just chop the tops off, peel the outside, and then all you need to do is to grate the horseradish that's inside. If you could smell this, it is amazing. Oh my goodness, it smells just like, you know when you open a fresh jar of horseradish sauce, it smells just like that as soon as it comes out of the ground. So I'm going to harvest just a little bit more. Whatever is left, if there is anything that is loose, just push back in and it will sort itself out. So I'm just going to harvest just a little bit more. Don't worry about the bit that's broken off. As you can see it down there, which is where this snapped off from, don't worry about that, that's absolutely fine. It will just sort itself out. As I say, it's a very robust plant, and it won't hurt it at all. So I'll just harvest just a little bit more and then I'll show you what I've got. Right, so I've just harvested 2 little bits of root. That's the one that you saw. Okay, it's quite a small one, and then this was the next. Let's just get the soil off. This was the next section that came off. Okay, you cannot be gentle when you are harvesting this. You have to be really quite firm and robust. Okay, unlike when you're harvesting carrots, that you want to be you don't want to snap the bottom off and leave it in there. This, yes, you know, just get in there and just give it a bit of welly, literally, and give it a bit of oomph and rip a bit off. That's the only way you're going to get any out, and the plant really will not mind. It doesn't matter what temperatures you live in. This it will go down to sort of about -10. It might go even further, but it is a wonderful plant. So I will wash these when I get home. I might give them a quick wash here. I think I've got some water in my butt. Not that butt. I'll take these home and I'll use this, and then when I've finished this, then I can come back and get some more. Now, don't just use horseradish with roast beef. If you are doing, say, a pasta dish and, oh, it's got a bit windy, and you want just a little bit more oomph in it, grate some of this and stick it in there as well, in with the sauce, because that will just give it a little bit more of a kick. Okay, don't put too much in because it is hot, so add a little bit, try it. If you want it a little hotter, then add just a little bit more. But there are so many uses for horseradish. Don't be scared to try them. Okay, but sticking them in with a pasta sauce is a good thing. Okay, well, I'm going to see what else I can get up to here. I don't really think there's much more, but I'll have a look, and if there is, then I'll show you. Right, well, apart from a load of sort of weeding and just general tidying up. There's not really anything else that I need to show you today. I've just harvested one more cabbage, which has actually started to shoot, go to seed. So I'm going to take that home and I'll give that to the chickens, because they'll love me for that, because they just love me anyway. They're so sweet. So I think that's going to be it for the day. Hopefully next time I come back I'll be able to show you something else, but we'll have to wait and see. Well, I hope you found what I've shown you useful, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.